So now we are going to create this random quote generator which will allow the user to click on this generate button and a random quote will be generated and displayed on the web page. So guys, we are going to make use of an API in order to randomly generate the code, and based on the response of the API, the required code will be displayed over here to the user. So guys, let us move to VS Code. So let us create a new folder inside the projects folder over here. So we have this code generator folder that we have created, inside which we will create the three files, that is index.html, style.css and the script.js file as well. So we have all these three files that are created. Now guys, within the index.html, let us create the basic HTML template over here, and for the title part we will say code for the day as the title, followed by programming for beginners. That is the name of this YouTube channel that you should definitely subscribe if you have not done so. So guys, basically we have set this particular title. Let us also set the style.css file over here. So using the link tag, we have set the style.css file, and also just before the ending body tag over here, we will link the script.js file as well. So we have src attribute, it is equal to script.js file that we have created. Now guys, let us provide certain styling attributes to the body tag over here. So inside the style.css file, we will provide the body tag, and we will first of all provide the margin, it is equal to 0, and then we have padding, it is equal to 0, and we will also set the background as linear gradient. So guys, over here we have to provide the angle, that is 135 degrees. You can set any angle based on your requirement. Apart from this, we will give the two colors, that is dark blue over here first of all, followed by violet in this case. So these are the two colors that we have set. Let me just adjust the shade of the violet and the dark blue colors over here. So these are the colors that we have set. Apart from this, let us also provide the width of 100%, and also the height, it is equal to 100 VH over here. So let me just save this file now. Let us open the live server after coming on the HTML file. So I just click on this go live button over here. So as you can see, this is the background color for the body tag of the web page. Now guys, apart from this, let us also provide the div tag with the class container inside the body tag, inside which we are going to have the h2 tag over here. We will simply say code for the day in this case. Apart from this, we will have two paragraphs over here. So the first paragraph, it is going to have the ID of quote in this case, which we are going to randomly generate. In this case, we are going to simply say this is a test quote over here. Apart from this, let us also have the ID for the author, so that we get the name of the author as well who has written that code. So guys, basically we will say author in this case. Let me just save this file now. These are the changes that are happening on the web page over here. Let us also provide the styling attributes to the container class over here. So we provide dot followed by the container, that is the name of class. First of all, we will provide the background color as white in this case. Apart from this, we will also provide certain padding over here. So from top and bottom, we will provide 10 pixels of padding, and from left and right, we are going to provide 20 pixels of padding. So these are the changes over here. Let me just adjust the window size so that we can see the changes on real time. So let us also provide certain margin in this case. So from top and bottom, we will provide 20 pixels of margin, and from left and right, we are going to provide auto. But guys, this auto margin is not going to work in order to get this div tag at the center of the screen, because we have not provided the width as well. So we will provide the width of 250 pixels in this case. So now as you can see, we are getting the div tag at the center of the screen over here. Apart from this, let us also provide the border radius as well. So simply we will say border radius of 15 pixels this time. So these are the border radius that are applied for this particular div tag with the class container. Now guys, apart from this, let us also provide certain styling attributes to the quote and the author as well. So first of all, we will copy the ID, that is quote over here, and then with this particular ID, we are going to provide the font size first of all of 20 pixels in this case. So as you can see, this is the change, and apart from that, we also want to set the font style as well, which should be italic, so that it looks like it is a quote over here. So as you can see, this is a test quote. It is getting displayed with the help of this italic font style over here. Now guys, after this we also want this entire quote to be present inside double quotes. So what we can do is simply we can make use of the pseudo elements that is before and after. So over here, first of all, we provide the id, that is the quote in this case, followed by 2 times colon, and then we provide before first of all followed by comma, and then once again we provide the id, that is quote, and we provide the after pseudo element over here. Now guys, these pseudo elements help us in order to provide extra content for that particular HTML element. So in this case, we are going to provide the content attribute over here, and within the single quotes we are going to provide double quotes in this case. So guys, basically before and after the HTML element, that is this particular statement, the double quote should be displayed. So let me just save this file now. As you can see, there are double quotes that are appearing before and after this particular statement. You can also provide the spacing so that it looks more decent over here, and the entire statement will be within the double quotes in this case. Now guys, similarly, let us provide certain styling attributes to the author as well. So simply I will provide the id, that is author in this case, and then we will provide the font size, it is equal to 14 pixels this time, and also we want to set the color to some darker version of the black color over here. So in this case, let me just provide this particular black color, that is the gray color in this case. So as you can see, this is the author that is getting displayed over here. Apart from this, we also want a hyphen to be displayed before the author. So once again we are going to make use of the before pseudo element this time. So in this case, we are going to provide the content which should be hyphen. So we provide hyphen followed by a space character. So as you can see, there is a hyphen that is getting displayed over here just before the author name that will be displayed. Now guys, we are going to make use of the API in order to randomly generate the code as well as the author of that particular code using JavaScript. So before going to the JavaScript code, let us also provide a button in order to help the user generate the random code. So guys, over here simply we are going to provide button generate as the id in this case, and we will say generate as the button over here. So as you can see on the right hand side, we have the generate button that is getting displayed over here. Let me just quickly provide certain styling attributes to this button generate as well. So what we will do is, first of all, we will provide the green color as the background color over here. Let me just adjust the shade of this green color. Apart from this, let me also remove the border. So border, it is equal to none, and also the outline, it is equal to none over here. After this, let us also provide the padding of 5 pixels from top and bottom and 10 pixels from left and right in this case, and also we want the cursor, it is equal to pointer over here. So guys, as you can see, this is the button that is getting displayed. Now after this, we will also provide certain hover effect for this generate button over here. So simply we will make use of the hover pseudo class in this case, and we will use the transform CSS property in order to scale down the size of the button. So we will say scale 90%. So when the user gets the mouse cursor on this generate button, as you can see, the size is decreasing. Now we can also provide the transition property so that it looks more smoother while it is decreasing the size. So we have provided 0.3 seconds over here. So as you can see, now there is a smooth effect of the button that is decreasing its size over here on mouse hover. Now guys, let us move to the JavaScript code now in order to randomly generate the code in this case and display it to the user. So what we will have to do is, first of all, we need to identify all these three things, that is the quote ID, the author ID, and the button generate ID as well. So simply we will say document followed by query selector over here, and since we are using id, we will say hash character followed by the id in this case, and first of all we are identifying the code, and similarly we will identify the author as well. So let me just copy the id of the author in this case, and also we will name the variable as author, and for the button as well we will copy the button generate id and paste it over here so that we are able to identify all the three things, that is code, author, and the generate button. Now guys, on click of this button generate, we have to trigger a callback function. So over here we will provide add event listener, and we will listen to the click event over here, and simply we are going to say set quote as the callback function. So So let me just define the set code callback function over here, inside which we are going to provide the content for this code and the author as well. Now guys, before setting the content, we need to get the content, that is the code as well. So in this case, we are going to make use of an API. So which API we will be using? Let me just maximize the browser over here, and in the new tab I am going to paste this particular API. So guys, this is the dummyjson.com/codes, which will help us in order to get the random codes over here. So when we press enter in this case, you can see that this is the data that is getting generated. Let me just click on the pretty print over here. So you can see we are getting the codes in the form of the array as the JSON data. So first of all, we have the JSON, inside which we have the array of codes, and this array is having individual objects over here, inside which we have the code as well as the author name in this case. So if I zoom in little bit, you can see that the author and the code is getting displayed over here along with the IDs. So guys, simply we have to call this particular API in order to randomly get the codes over here. So what we can do is simply let me just use another function over here in order to get the codes. So we will say get codes in this case, and then we will also define this API over here. So let API, it is equal to, let me just provide the entire API. So this is the API that we will be using. I'll provide this link in the description section as well. Apart from this, we are also going to have another variable that is going to be an array, which will store all the codes that we are going to get from this particular API. So guys, this is the empty array that we have provided for now. So basically what we have to do is we need to call the fetch function, that is the built-in JavaScript function, in order to call the API. So within the parenthesis, we provide the API over here, which we have already defined. Now guys, we need to wait for the data to come from this particular fetch function. So what we have to do is, before the fetch call, we need to provide the await keyword, and wherever we are going to make use of the await keyword, that particular function needs to be async. So over here we need to define this function as async over here with this particular async keyword, and once we get the data, we need to store it inside the variable. So let us provide the variable that is response on left hand side of this particular fetch function over here. So guys, basically when we call this function, that is get codes, the interpreter will come over here and it is going to call the API with the help of the fetch function in this case, and wait for the response to come so that the response can be stored inside this particular variable. Now this variable will be having the response, which needs to be converted into JSON format. So we will use the response variable followed by dot, and then we have something called as JSON method, as you can see. So guys, over here we will use this JSON method, and once again we need to wait for the data to be converted from this response into a JSON format, and then we will store it inside another variable, that is data in this case. So guys, ultimately we are going to have the codes data that we can see over here on our browser inside the data variable. So simply let me just provide the console.log statement over here, and simply we will print the data variable and we will check what is the value that we are getting. So simply what we have to do is, after this function we need to call this function over here. So we are going to say get codes in this case, and let me just save this file now, and let us go to the console section of this particular browser. So we go to the inspect option, and then within the console section you can see that we are getting the object over here. Now this particular object, it is having different properties. We are interested in this codes data over here, which is having the array. So it is starting from 0 up to the length is 29 over here, which means the total number of codes are 30 in this case. So guys, basically we have got the entire data in this case. Now this particular data is having the other properties as well. You can see that we have limit, then we have skip, we have total as well. So we are interested in this data, that is codes. So what we will do is, simply inside the codes array we are going to store these codes. So codes, it is equal to data followed by dot, and the same name needs to be provided over here. So guys, simply I'm going to copy this property and then paste it over here after providing data followed by dot in this case. So guys, all the codes will be stored inside this codes variable. Now inside the codes we have the index, that is 0th index, after which we have to access the author user and the code property of this particular object. So how do we do that? So let me just comment out this console.log section, and then during the set code what we have to do is we need to get a random index between 0 and 29. So over here let me just provide math followed by dot, and then we have the random method over here, and we have to multiply this by 30 so that we get the index between 0 to 29 number, because total number of codes that we are storing inside the codes is 30 over here. Now guys, using this statement we are going to get the random number, but it will be in the decimal format. So what we have to do is simply we have to enclose this statement within the math.floor function over here so that we get the index between 0 to 29. And then guys, on the left hand side we can provide the variable that is index over here. So guys, when we call the set code, when the user clicks on the generate button, the interpreter will come over here and it is going to randomly generate the number between 0 to 29 and then assign it to the index variable. Now guys, we have to make use of the index variable in order to access the codes over here. So what we will do is simply we will say codes in this case followed by open and close square brackets within which we need to provide the index. This is going to access the 0th index or the first index over here up to the 29th index, and then after this we have the property that we had seen. So let me just comment out this line of code over here and show you the output in this case. So as you can see, we have this codes. Let us say the index variable is pointing to the 0th index over here. We will get this entire object within which we need to specify the code over here as the property. So simply let me just copy this and paste this over here after providing dot, and then we have the code. So guys, this particular value needs to be assigned to the code HTML element. So what we can do is simply we will provide code followed by dot, and then we have the inner HTML, it is equal to this particular value. And then guys, similarly we will also set the author as well. So author followed by inner HTML, it is equal to, once again we will be using the codes with this particular specific index, but this time what we have to do is we will make use of the author property now in order to get this value. So let me just copy this author and paste this. Guys, always remember whatever API you are calling, they will be having their own set of properties, and the same properties needs to be provided when you are accessing them like this. So basically, since it is inside the array, and that is why we have to make use of the index within the open and close square brackets over here in order to access the object of the individual code in this case. So these are the lines of code that will help us in order to set the code and the author value. So guys, let me just save this file now and let us test our application. So over here we have already got the list of codes, and when the user comes over here and clicks on generate, as you can see we are getting one of the codes over here and also the author in this case. When we click on generate once again, another random number is getting generated behind the scenes, and we are getting one of the codes based on the index that is getting stored over here based on the random number. So guys, this is the way you can easily generate the random codes by using this particular API and the math.random function as well, so that the user is able to see the required code over here based on the API. So guys, comment in the comment section below whether you have learned something out of this video. Please make sure that you like this video so that it reaches to more people, and subscribe to the channel so that you get the notifications on upcoming videos as well. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, stay tuned.